It's very false. And when you get eyeball to eyeball, then you find out what the truth is. People seem to want to give good news. And when that rumor feeds from one to another, the next thing you know, we would be hearing, we saw a parachute, we saw life rafts. It turned out nothing. I remember hearing talks about copying an SOS from the control tower at Shemya. And I said, well, who said that? I want to talk to the guy. I got on the phone at command post, called him up, and I said, are you the guy that got this? And he said, yeah. I said, well, how'd you get it? He said, I had an R390A receiver, and I threw a long wire out the window. And I said, did you pick up an SOS, and what frequency? Well, he said, well, I think it was. Nobody really, the bottom line was, after all the searching and all these years, nothing. So then the big question was, what happened? Well, we don't really know, but we have a pretty good idea. First of all, we're most assured that it wasn't foul play. I know that some of these kids and so forth that are trying to find out about their dad thinks that they were shot down by a submarine, captured in the Soviet Union, and all kinds of crazy stuff. But what we really believe has happened, and Bill Ernst, are you here? I saw him here earlier. He would know because he was in close contact with the big safari people that worked on Rivet Amber. Well, the 135 fleet had a special mod done to their vertical stabilizer called the Pacer Fin mod. The Pacer Fin mod was designed to strengthen the vertical stabilizer because they knew there was a weakness in it. Well, we'd already lost Rivet Ball, so the only airplane we had out there at Shemya was Rivet Amber. And they had a big window of about 500 hours where they had to get this done. Well, somewhere about midway in that 500 hours, which the engineers said it would be okay to do, that's when we lost Rivet Amber. And when they lost, well, we think they lost the vertical stabilizer, that tore off the HF long wire, and all they could hear are these key clicks. We didn't know for a while what those key clicks were, and we sent that information to NSA, and they analyzed it. Those came from Rivet Amber. So Rivet Amber was airborne for about 45 minutes for sure after those key clicks started. Where did they go down in the Bering Sea? We don't really know. We can make guesstimations because there was no debris ever found. There still are some efforts to try and find out where that aircraft could have come down because they had these special sensors on the floor for detecting submarines. But there's still to this day nothing conclusive. Well, of these 19 people on here, and the name I have on the top center, that's Lieutenant Colonel Michaud, he was the aircraft commander. And the 6 men on the left, the officers, they were all part of the 24th Strategic Reconnaissance Squadron. Those are the ones that I was close to and talked to. The 6 men in the center, those were all maintenance people, TDY from the 55th Strategic Reconnaissance Wing. The 55th would send up these folks, TDY, to take care of Rivet Amber. The last 6 on the right-hand side, those are all security service people. Now, some people would say, why did you have that many people on the airplane? Normally, the crew is not that big. Well, when you were out at Shemya, anytime an airplane went back to Eielson, you put on as many people as you could to get them off the damn island, because you go to home, the land of the big BX. Just having a few days at Eielson was a treat compared to Shemya. Go to the next slide, please. Well, I'm going to fast forward a little bit now. I left there about a month later, went to command and staff, did a whole lot of career changes and assignments and so forth, and I retired in '81. And then about 8 years ago, I found out about the internet, and I got on it. And I said, well, I'm going to see what this search engine does. I put in Shemya, and lo and behold, there was a guy out in Colorado, George Smith, retired Master Sergeant, who started to put together a website about Shemya. It's a great website, not just Shemya, but the entire Aleutians, and it's been recognized by the History Channel. And I left a guest book entry in there that said, oh, I know about Shemya. I was there, 66 to 69. We lost 2 airplanes and 19 people, Rivet Ball and Rivet Amber. Well, this young girl by the name of Jenny Wonder, she was a year old when she lost her dad. And her dad was one of the maintenance troops from the 55th year. And 8 years ago, she started to trying to find information about her dad. Because back then, we didn't wear patches. We didn't tell our wives where we went. We didn't tell anybody what we did. It was a very close group of people, very tight. And what I see today and the way things are today, very, very different than it was back in 1966. She emailed me and says, what do you know about Rivet Amber? Well, I told her, and she couldn't believe it at first. And after making contact with her and her sisters and her mother, and then others that started to find out, I said, well, I'm going to make a website. So I made this website called A Tale of Two Airplanes at rc135.com. It's been up for 8 years now. It's getting to be known. And if anybody wants to find out the whole, more of a complete story about Rivet Ball and Rivet Amber and Shimya, go to this website. And if you get a chance, go read some of the guest book entries. All these children and wives and so forth have made comments and connected with each other, and it's just filling a big void for them because they had no remains. They didn't know where their dad went down. They don't have an airplane parts, nothing. So this means a lot to them. And they talk to each other, and it sort of brought them together. And they now even call it the Rivet Amber family. And it continues today. As a matter of fact, I got an email from Michaud's sister. I didn't know we had a sister about 2 weeks ago. And I keep getting this, and I pass out whatever information I have. And this, over that table over there, I've got movies of the last images ever taken of Rivet Amber, which is this one of those little slides that showed the Rivet Amber before. So if you get a chance, go to rc135.com, and you can read the complete story and hear from all these children and so forth. And that's about all I've got to say. I'm sure my 15 minutes are up.